So this is Echo Park. Coming away. It's July 2020, and I have a fantasy about this lake. That this used to be a Native American gathering ground. It's a typical white person's fantasy. But in truth, this wasn't a lake. This was a farm. And before that it was desert, mountain desert, grass, golden California grass. It was a place probably where people hunted, but there wasn't any water here. Originally, the water showed up millions of years ago by LA standards. In about 1900, someone built a reservoir here to hold water to feed the city. To feed the city's thirst. Morning. How you doing?
Okay.
And then the Silver Lake Reservoir was built, and this reservoir was drained, so it was no longer needed. Silver Lake was the spot. After that, some enterprising people, men of course, probably with women behind them advising them, but the men out front. Because that's the way the world has worked for a long time, and probably not so much anymore. They decided to build a lake. And supposedly, they called it Echo Park because the builder of this lake realized one day he was listening to a conversation But he couldn't see anyone around him, and he looked up and realized that it was the people across the other side of the lake that were talking, and he could hear their voice clearly. It was echoing across the lake. Although technically I don't know that that's an echo, but good enough. So they called it Echo Park Lake. And they built housing and hospitals and apartment buildings, roads. And they stocked the lake with fish. Every 2 weeks, the California Department of Agriculture dumps rainbow trout into this lake. Every 2 weeks, there's an outdoor toilet. For the fishermen, the local LA fishermen, and women, and children, and indeterminate. Or choosing other. This encampment reminds me of the grass islands in Lake Titicaca on the Peru-Bolivia border. Islands made of reeds where people have lived for centuries. I've always loved trout, the idea of trout. I've tried so many times to catch trout, very, very rarely succeed. The first time I was 5 years old in Colorado with my grandmother and my brother, maybe a little older. We were staying at a roadside cabin near a lake. One of those wooden cabins that has a stove where you can make Jiffy Pop. And I walked down to the lake to go fishing, and I couldn't catch any fish at all. And as I was leaving the lake, this man took pity on me, a grown man, And he gave me a whole string of trout with like 5 or 6 trout on it. And he said, "Here, kid, have this." And I took that trout home to my grandmother, Grandmother Grace, my father's mother. She was a sweet, sweet woman, a bit impractical. I took that home and she cooked them up for me. But no one believed I caught them. You can fish. You have to get a $15 fishing license at a local hardware store here in Echo Park in order to fish legally in this lake. Which I have never done. But plenty of people do it. You can rent a boat in the shape of a swan and paddle yourself out into the middle of the lake with your pole and your bait and catch some trout. Also bass, crappie, sunfish, and others. The only issue is you're advised not to eat the trout or the crappie or the sunfish or the others. But that never stopped anyone who was hungry, right? So they built this lake, this artificial lake, and they stocked it with lily pads that bloom. They're closed up right now, waiting for the sun. I just saw a fish right there. I don't know, excuse me, I don't know if duck hunting is allowed here, but I think I could hunt that one right there without too much trouble. If I had to. Blackbird singing in the dead of night. Take these broken wings and learn to fly. On my own. You are only waiting for that moment to arrive. You are only waiting for that moment to be free. So they built this lake, and about that time they built movie studios around here, silent film studios, different companies, different projects, but all in the great Hollywood tradition of making money off of images of people doing silly things. And movie stars began coming to Echo Park. Later, as you can see on your TV late at night, when you watch cop shows, other cultural programming, lots of TV, you'll see that Echo Park is in approximately 99.9% of TV shows filmed in Los Angeles. It's the location where the dead body is floating, where the affair is taking place on a Swan boat out in the deep water. It's where the criminals, generally Chicano or Chinese, run from each other, run from the cops, run from the white people, run with their guns, drop their guns in the water, smile with a smirk when they're arrested, justice is served, they're taken to jail, the detectives walk off, shoulder to shoulder, another job done. The washing up facilities. I mean, you know me well enough to know that this is where I'm headed. The Swan dock. That's lap number 3. Wow. More washing up places. Somebody got the bright idea to plant palm trees here. Riad on the water. This sign is here in case Los Angeles floods, and all the other signs are underwater. Then people will be able to know not to swim or float. boats and stuff like that in this object, whatever that says. Please do not feed the birds. The lily pads were a good idea. And the furry palms. The wooden bridge. And now the park is home to children on the weekends. The community coming out to eat paletas on the waterfront. A park that shows that Los Angeles cares. Look at these beautiful flowers. A place where people come to get their daily stroll, their exercise. And we call this end of the park Geese, the Geese end. Because up near the bikes and the scooters for rent, there's a flock of geese. They stay separate from the ducks. They keep away from the trout. They catch their fish down here, whatever they eat. Bugs, worms. It'd be great if humans could just poke their faces in the grass like that and eat. Maybe there wouldn't be so many of us hungry. And there, the white geese, white goose. When the white goose appears, it's said the apocalypse is nigh. If nigh means near, that's what the white goose means. Be careful, my brothers. The wetlands. Clean water. Morning. I hear a rooster crying. This little guy thinks he's going to get something from me, but I don't have any crumbs. Oh, we can watch the lily pads come awake. The flowers are opening. Lotus. Crows, lily pads, roosters, cormorants, trout. Turtles. Coots. Turtles are very good luck. Just like hawks. If we saw a hawk now, it would be a dufecta. These guys just want food too. Everybody wants something. Fishing. No way to get on the island. Cross country to the inlet. So truth be told, well, I don't know if I can tell the truth. How I'm feeling right now. I guess I could say, truth be told, I'm frightened of homeless people. Because I'm frightened of being homeless myself. I'm frightened of the unknown. I'm frightened of the virus. I'm not intrigued by a city that allows itself to ignore so many. Los Angeles, July 2020. This is where we're at.